What's happening, guys? Greg Ehrenberg here from Stokastic.com, and we are about to break down all the best plays and lineups for this weekend's FanDuel slate for NFL. I also recorded a video up on the YouTube channel for DraftKings, so if you're looking for DraftKings, we've got that video on the channel as well. And as you come in, if you could do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to sign up for our NFL package, which includes everything that we have at Stokastic.com, including our contest generator and Sims tool. Sign up using the link below. Get access to everything we have at the site. Now, let's go ahead and look at my top projected lineups for FanDuel. I built these lineups with a 25% payout structure to first place when I ran them through the Sims. The reason being is that is the payout for first place in the flagship contest over at FanDuel. Favorite of my top 150 lineups just now. And if we look at my number one overall projected lineup by ROI, it is Tua at quarterback with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jerome Ford at running back. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, KJ Osborne. And then we've got Durham Smythe at tight end. And then Isaiah Pacheco at the flex spot with the Dolphins defense, the defense in this lineup. And I know DraftKings, we have pretty condensed stack exposures in terms of our top stack odds for teams to go off. Like, we really only have the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Vikings with super high top stack odds over on DraftKings, but it's a little more spread out over on FanDuel. A lot of that has to do with the pricing, and then also the differences with the PPR bonus only being, a half point for reception as opposed to a full point. So a little bit more spread out, it looks like we're getting to here over on FanDuel. And let's look at some of the exposures. I'm going to do a filter for QBs just so we could see which teams we're kind of building stacks around. And still some of the same teams that we're getting to the most for DraftKings purposes apply to FanDuel with Cousins, Mahomes, and Tua, but also getting to a good amount of Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott on FanDuel, a little bit of Trevor Lawrence as well. So still fairly condensed, but a little bit more spread out over on FanDuel as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. And if we look at the overall player exposure here, most exposed player right now is Isaiah Pacheco. Now, with that said, he's currently questionable to play at the time I'm recording. If he's ruled out, clearly he's not going to be one of the best plays on the slate anymore. Travis Kelce as well. So Chiefs exposure coming in pretty hot here. Two most exposed players are skill position players from the Chiefs. And then also Mahomes is one of our three most rostered quarterbacks. As far as pay-up options go, getting to a lot of Justin Jefferson as well as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill in 25% of lineups, Justin Jefferson in 40%. We have Jalen Waddle officially listed as questionable, but we are assuming in our projections right now that Jalen Waddle is going to be out. So with that in mind, Jalen Waddle is somebody who is not in our projections that boosts up guys like Tyreek Hill and Durham Smythe if he's showing up in lineups as a tight end, which I assume he is. Yeah, 16% of Durham Smythe ended up here in these lineups. Other players that we're getting to, Alexander Madison. And Madison, even though the Vikings just traded for Cam Akers, the expectation is that Akers is not going to be active on Sunday. So Madison, chance for a bounce back. He's been terrible the first couple weeks of the season from an efficiency standpoint, and then also he has lost a fumble. But kind of like a final chance for him here to hold on to his job before Cam Akers starts playing next week. Other running backs we're getting to were Ramondre Stevenson and Jahmyr Gibbs. Another guy, David Montgomery, is listed as questionable at the time I'm recording, but we're assuming that he's out and he is not in our projection. So with that in mind, Jahmyr Gibbs, somebody who's popping up in a lot of lineups, getting to the Jets defense as the most exposed defense here over on FanDuel. And then some other players that are notable rounding out lineups, nearly 30% exposure to Zach Moss and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Michael Thomas also showing up in a good amount of lineups. Michael Thomas, who, was the best fantasy wide receiver, especially for PPR purposes, a few years ago. He's dealt with injuries the last couple of years. He's looked good so far. He's the number 2 option to Chris Olave in the Saints offense. But that aside, Michael Thomas has put up pretty good fantasy numbers so far this year. And no Jamal Williams. That could mean that the Saints are a little more apt to throw the football this weekend. Players we're underweight to. Getting underweight to Tony Pollard. That's a little scary against the Arizona Cardinals. But with the wide receiver payoff options that we have at our disposal now in Justin Jefferson as well as Tyreek Hill, it does make sense to prioritize spending up at wide receiver as opposed to running back. So hence why we come in underweight to the field on Tony Pollard here. And then that's also going to mean coming underweight to the field on guys like Keenan Allen and probably Stephon Diggs, wherever he is. I'm sure we're underweight to him as well for the same reasons. Underweight to the field on Mark Andrews with Travis Kelce being the preferred spend up option at tight end, and also underweight to the field here on Mike Williams. See stack exposures. And in the lineups that have Lamar Jackson, primarily single stack. So it's going to be those Andrews lineups we have. I'm sure that it's Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and then probably a little bit of a mix and match in terms of the pass catchers we're getting to with Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers, the one I prefer, but there's other guys we could go to as well. Odell Beckham Jr. not expected to play this weekend. Double stacks, we're getting the most of Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, followed by Tua, and then triple stacks, not a ton of them, but of the ones we are getting to, they are predominantly Kirk Cousins. So it's going to be Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson, some with KJ Osborne, and then some of those lineups might have Madison or potentially Addison as well. So that's a little run through of all the players I'm getting the most exposure to right now for FanDuel. I'm also going to be doing a more in-depth tournament strategy breakdown on Saturday afternoon with Neil Orfield. That show will also be on the YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck with all your lineups. If you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you guys back here next week.